Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nelson Fuentes. My YouTube channel name is Nelson's Homes. Thank you guys for checking in on another video with me. Today, this video is a quick video on older resale homes versus new construction. Not sure if you guys are into any of these types of properties, but let's go ahead and dive on in. We're going to talk about some of the differences. Hopefully that makes you make a better decision on whether or not you're going to look into a resale home or possibly a new construction. So let's get started. New construction homes, there are two types. There are the custom new construction, where you have a lot more say in how the property looks and feels and the bells and whistles that it has, or there is pre-built new construction, a property that has already been built, but it's new and nobody else has owned it, so it's just a matter of finding the homeowner for that property. And then now we're also going to be talking about old resale properties that have already been owned for a while, possibly have already been around for quite a while in a community that's been there for quite a while, that's just being sold by another homeowner. So first thing we want to talk about is the layout on these properties. So let's look into new construction, whether it's either custom or new built, or pre-built. Layouts on these properties are a lot more modern, meaning that they have a lot different floor plans, and much more open floor plan, because that's what the trends have been in the past few years. If it's a custom, you have much more say in whether or not maybe you need a separate private entrance, or maybe if you need a mudroom or an additional guest room, you have the authority and ability to go ahead and actually design the floor plan with the contractor before the property has been built to fit your needs, whether you're looking to live there by yourself or with a spouse, or maybe develop your family later on. That is, of course, with a custom new construction property. With a pre-built, the trends, like I said, they happen to be open floor plans, so of course it has much more open, a much more open field, that versus a older resale home. Depending on where and what time it was built, it usually tends to follow the type of trend that was going on during that time, which for a lot of older homes tend to be a much more cut up property, chopped up property, meaning that there's much more rooms, it feels a lot more boxed in, less space. That's what it feels like. It may have the same amount of space, but because of how chopped up it is, that's what it feels like. They also tend to have smaller bedrooms, smaller bathrooms, and even smaller windows, so it feels much more smaller, but that is what tends to be the layout for these properties. So that is old versus new construction on the layout. Now in terms of lighting, an older home may feel like it's much more darker and of course much smaller, but that is because of layout one, as well as because of the lighting. So because of the layout and possibly lower ceilings, a lot of these properties feel much smaller because of the lower ceilings, and then because of the smaller windows and less windows, it possibly has much less natural lighting. So because of that less natural lighting, it feels darker, therefore it feels smaller as well, versus a new construction home, which has different floor plan, may have an open floor plan, higher ceilings, much more windows, therefore creating much more natural sunlight, therefore making it feel like it's a lot bigger, as well because of these trends that are going on in newer construction properties. There's recessed lighting and LED lights, so it makes it feel much more brighter. Not to say you can't do that to an older home, but it tends not to already come that way. It tends to be sold in whatever way or condition most people bought it for. So that's an older home versus a newer construction home on the lighting. Of course, with newer homes, it's much more energy efficient because of possibly the appliances or the building material used, whether it was energy efficient windows or energy efficient appliances, faucets, water heater, things like that make it a lot more energy saving for those types of properties. Not to say that older properties can't be turned that way, but usually when you're purchasing an older resale home, they tend not to come with these energy efficient windows, or maybe not these energy efficient insulation. So those are the things to consider when debating whether to purchase a resale or a new construction. Technology has come to play with these newer construction properties. By that I mean appliances, or as well as even the lighting or the water. In newer construction properties, they have made it sort of a focal point to include tech and incorporate tech into their homes and their properties, therefore creating like a smart home, making it a much more unique living experience for the home purchaser or the home owner that will be in that property. Not to say that an older home can't have these things, but it would cost out of your personal pocket to develop and place these things in these older properties. And as well, because it is less energy efficient, it may cost much more money in the long run to keep this property cool, or keep this property heated, mainly because it doesn't have these energy efficient appliances or things in the property versus that of a newer construction property, right? Another difference in newer construction versus older homes would be the air quality in newer construction properties, because they're using up-to-date and newer building material. That means that the paints or the wood or the insulation is a lot less hazardous, or not hazardous at all, therefore creating a healthy environment and healthier air for that property, versus that of an older home, which may have layers of old paint, which may have asbestos, old different types of piping for the plumbing, which in the past was cast iron or fiberglass, or not what is currently being used at this day and age. So therefore creating possibly more pollutant air and air quality in these older homes. But of course, not to say you cannot update and make it that way, but you would just have to pay a lot more money out of your pocket versus already purchasing a pre-built or a custom new construction property. That is just air quality. And finally, there are other things that make differences between an older resale property versus that of a new construction. Location could be a specific thing that is a difference, mainly because in older communities, you can go ahead and actually talk to the neighbors and see what's the quality of that neighborhood, and see whether or not this is an ideal neighborhood for you, school-wise, traffic-wise, crime-wise. These are the things that you can ask about with the neighbors and see for yourself based on research or statistics that are available online, versus that of a newer construction property, because the development hasn't finished in these communities as of yet. So sometimes these schools, you do not know what the future holds for these schools or for these neighborhoods, because newer construction tends to be in further out underdeveloped or undeveloped areas. There's not that many shopping centers around or any nightlife really around, so it's a little bit, further out that you would have to possibly drive. So these are some of the differences in location of a newer home versus that of an older home. Maybe the convenience, as well as in a newer home, because it's newer land and maybe new developing communities, there tends to be less trees, less shade, and less protection for your property, because in older communities, these homes have been there for maybe 30, 40 years, and these communities have been built for 50, 60 to 80 years ago, and therefore these trees have grown and have developed and provided great curb appeal and provide great exposure and protection for the property, which is why a lot of people buy some of these older homes, because of the curb appeal. It looks beautiful. They want that. They want those trees. They want that protection and or convenience of knowing that what the neighborhood future may hold, versus that of in new construction and newer home, where all these trees are pretty much brand new, and therefore you have to help it grow and nurture it and help the community grow and nurture the community, to make sure that you can have a say in what the community future holds. And now that's just pretty much the main differences there. We covered layout, we covered lighting, we covered energy efficient appliances versus non-energy efficient appliances. So air quality as well, and location, and of course what each community may or may not hold. So I hope this helps you figure out whether or not you want to purchase a new construction home, whether it be custom or pre-built, or a old resale home from another homeowner. And again, each of these properties you can afterwards always do whatever you want with them, but these are some of the differences, and hopefully it helps you figure out what you want to do. So if there's any questions, you feel like I missed anything, feel free to comment below, message me personally, or feel free to share this video if you think you learned something new, or you think anybody can learn something new from this video. Thanks. See you in the next one.